Welcome to The Spotlight, the podcast where veterans and military spouses connect and share how their military experience has transformed their lives and their businesses. Here's your host, Bob Louthen.
Hey, this is your host, Bob Louthen, founder of the VeteranCrowd Network, the network that brings veterans and veteran-led businesses together with each other and the resources they need to prosper. And you are tuning into The Spotlight. Welcome, everybody. This is Bob Louthen. My guest today, Mike Morgan, is the CEO and founder of Flags of the Fallen. We're going to be talking about his experiences and his goals right now. Mike, welcome to the program. Thank you for stepping into the spotlight.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
So, Mike, you are not a veteran, but you are very focused on veteran issues. Can you tell us about the genesis of Flags of the Fallen? How did this come about?
I can. Thank you. So the genesis of it was when we lost the 13 brave American heroes in Afghanistan last year. That really, it just really got me to the core. And as I was watching everything and following every minute of it, the number 13 just kept sticking in my head. There were 13 heroes that were defending our flag, and there's 13 stripes on our flag, and that symmetry just kept sticking in my head. And so I thought, just as a small token gesture, I wanted to make these flags for the families of these 13 heroes and send them to them just to let them know that we care. And, we're thinking about them. I've got to speak with a number of them, and, it's talking to people on the worst day or about the worst situation of their lives is never easy, but it is an honor. And so that was going to be it. It was going to be those 13 just as a gesture from me to them. And then I made sure I did everything right, because as you pointed out, I am not a veteran. And I discussed it with many veterans, so I wouldn't do anything wrong. I wanted to make sure I didn't violate any decorum or any rules, or I didn't put any wrong abbreviations. I didn't want to make any mistakes. So when I had those conversations, then it quickly turned to, well, why stop there? Because sadly, every veteran knows someone that was made the ultimate sacrifice. So one of my COO is a Marine veteran, and he brought up his unit mate who was killed, and he said, hey, could we make one for him? And all of a sudden now it's like, okay, yes, of course, this is the easy answer. But then it was, all right, let's do this all the way. So we turned it into a full-blown 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we're going to try and make as many of these beautiful flags for anybody that's a fallen military and first responder. So we're not just stopping at veterans. We're going to anyone who can pick something like
Mike,
this up.
were you a woodworker? I mean, what was sort of the what got you into this?
I'm an amateur woodworker at best. I loved playing around with it, and I had started making some flags just because I love our flag, and there's some other flags for other organizations, and I just loved playing around with it. And I just love seeing the stars and stripes everywhere I can. So I'd already started playing around with flags, and then like I said, since I was already doing that and making some mainly for friends and things like that, and then the symmetry of 13 clicked in, and I was like, okay, maybe there's a reason that I found this hobby that is now much more than
I know of one colleague in particular that you've done one for, and you know, so this goes from being a labor of love to, hey, we need to industrialize this a little bit. Is that right?
That's correct. And
How have people been reacting to this? I mean, are you drinking from a fire hose at this point?
pretty much the reaction, I knew I was going to learn so many things that I didn't know. And so I've had many conversations with veterans and Gold Star families, mothers, wives, sisters, brothers, and I learned so much from them. But the number one thing that really was a common theme across almost every conversation I had was you could almost set your watch to, or your calendar to 30 days. And when their loved one comes home in a flag draped coffin, that first 30 days is just nonstop. There's friends coming over to bring meals, and there's unit mates and friends and neighbors. Everybody's checking in. Everybody is making sure they're okay as best they can be. They're hearing from their child superiors or their husbands, just nonstop. But then they've all said at 30 days, all of a sudden it all ends up going away. And then that's when it really hits them. And it's not anything intentional, but it goes away. And now they're like, oh my gosh, they're really gone. So that's when the people I've spoke to said, if I got something like this flag 60 days or 90 days afterwards, when it's quiet and I'm alone and I'm crying all the time, and I see something like that, it would help me not get over it, because you're never going to get over it. But I've heard people say they feel that their loved one gets forgotten. And I can't, that just makes me, that does not sit well with me. So if we can keep their names in front of people as much as possible forever, then that's really what makes it all worthwhile. And it's been, the fire hose is absolutely correct. Every single person that I've talked to is just said, this is just a fantastic idea. How can I help? Because obviously, we could make thousands of flags every day and we'd never be caught up. But
You've gone from sort of this little cottage industry to creating a nonprofit. Talk a little bit about the thought process that you went to. You said, we need to create a nonprofit, and then how did you do that?
mhm.
And what's the core focus of it now as a nonprofit? Right? What's the big, hairy, audacious goal here that kind of, I think, everything's
Right.
centered around?
Right. Great question. And the reason I went nonprofit is I didn't want to turn it into a for-profit business, because I certainly am not, I would never even entertain the thought of profiting off of these situations. And there's already hundreds of companies out there that make, beautiful, wooden flags. I didn't want to be one of them. And everybody comes from different walks of life. So, they're not inexpensive if you were doing it for profit. So this way, if I do it as a nonprofit, then people who can afford to donate will donate to Flags of the Fallen, and they can nominate their friend or just donate in general, but they can nominate somebody, and then we'll send a flag to them, and then that person has given us the means to do that. And we're kind of using a pay it forward model. So when a flag goes out, we're hopeful that that person will show that to everybody that they know. And then those people who, their friends, unit mates, neighbors will see that and say, wow, this is a cool idea. Maybe I should go to Flags of the Fallen, donate a little bit here or there. And that way we can continue to pay it forward.
Mike, are you in collaboration with other groups? I mean, this sounds like part of a holistic support for the families of the fallen. If I would imagine it'd be great for other veteran service organizations that are out there who, are helping the families. The Gold Star families
Sure.
comes to mind. To look to you as part of the package.
Absolutely. And as you know better than anybody, veterans organizations are such a great group of people. They're just, I keep saying it all the time. These people are just better than most. And thank you for your service and thank everyone for theirs. I'm just constantly blown away by the character of the people I meet. So yes, I'm reaching out constantly to other organizations and finding out how we can work together. And I would love to be part of a package. It's because we're still figuring out every direction we're headed, and we're drinking from that fire hose you mentioned. I've had a lot of preliminary conversations, but we haven't quite figured out where we fit in. But I think it would be, ideal if some of the bigger organizations were to bring us in. If they're doing something, to someone's house to make it more handicap friendly or something. If they're doing big gestures like that, and then we put one of these flags in there, I think that would be a nice addition to what they're doing, because we try and make each flag so personal. Like we've done some where I try to have a conversation with every recipient and find out more about their loved one, and find out their favorite sports team or something that's just about them. So that way every flag, I've put
Really
different
customized.
really customized. I mean, we put the battlefield cross on them when it's appropriate or requested, but I've put different sports teams, and I put someone's favorite drinks, and put a box of crayons on one because there's the one guy was he loved crayons. So that it makes them so completely unique and one of a kind. And then if you have if you have a plain wooden flag, you're going to walk by and you're going to appreciate it every time. But if you walk by one that's got someone's name and their service dates and their branch and their likes or their favorite things on it, you're going to stop and you're going to take a second and third look. And that's the goal. Just I don't want these people to feel like their loved one gets forgotten.
Honor, duty, service. At the Veteran Crowd Network, we're focused on our next mission, bringing veterans, veteran-operated businesses, and veteran service organizations together with each other and the resources they need to prosper. That's why we are launching the Veteran Crowd Rewards Program, exclusively for our individual and corporate members. Now you can save on travel, restaurants, goods, and services from brands you trust online and at over 900,000 locations nationwide. Find out more today at VeteranCrowdNetwork.com. If you are a veteran-operated business, or a VSO, consider the connections, the network, the benefits, the engagement, and success of working with other veterans again. The Veteran Crowd Network, you paid a lot of dues to join this club.
You're listening to the Spotlight on the Veteran Crowd Network. My guest is Mike Morgan, the CEO and founder of Flags of the Fallen. Mike, let's talk a little bit about your team. You've assembled a team of veterans in your board. Talk a little bit about the folks that are helping you with this project.
Absolutely. When I first started, the first person I reached out to is a good friend of mine, named João Pereira, who's a Marine Corps veteran who he was almost a recipient. He was blown up pretty good in the Marines, in Iraq, and I think he's had about 30 surgeries to get back to normal. Now you see him every day, and he looks great. He looks normal. So he was the first guy I reached out to, and he's been a godsend. So he's my right hand in this, my COO. He's my computer tech expert, and he has a passion for this that is, second to none. He's tried a number of different things and looking for something to help veterans going forward. And it's really meant a lot to him, and he's as fired up as I am. So he's my Marine. I have Harry Bitzberger, as you know, is my he's my brother-in-law, but he's my Air Force representative. And then I have John Gomez is my Navy representative, and I have when I started this, as we mentioned, I'm not a woodworking expert, but I went to a good friend of mine named David Stoller, who is a police officer, and he is a woodworking expert. And I went to him and said, "Hey, I know you're the expert. I'm the amateur. Can you help me with this?" And at first, I was just, like I said, I was just going to make the flags. And then he's like, "What are you doing?" And I told him, I said, "Well, I'm making the 13 flags for the 13 people we lost in Afghanistan." I said, "So if you can, give me a good price on the supplies." And he's like, "Well, there's no charge for the supplies for those." So I got David on board as my law enforcement representative, and I've got trying to think, who am I leaving out here?
You left out Ian
I did.
Whipple, I think.
I did leave out Ian Whipple. Ian's my he was in the 100. He's in Army Airborne, and he was in the 101st Infantry, and a great guy. So I think that covers the majority of my main ones. And we're still, if anybody else wants to come on board and help us out, we need people to nominate people for us to send flags to, because right now it's easy to start out with obvious ones. People that these guys know, and
we've been on a war footing for 20 years.
Mhm.
I'd say this all the time. I have the utmost respect for the post 9/11 veteran. The level of deployments and so forth that they've been forced to sustain, over the last 20 years has just been nothing short of incredible.
Mhm.
And there are thousands that lost their lives, and many more thousands that were severely wounded. Yeah, and it's still painful for the families, even if they lost a loved one 15 years ago. And so I know in one case, I think we've spoken a little bit about Chase Presnicki, Army
Mhm.
football player, son of a friend of ours, David Presnicki. There are thousands of these stories out there where families are dealing still with the grief, with the loss.
You're right.
And so what I think you're doing is so important. And then, there are thousands of veteran service organizations out there that are addressing these issues. What is the vision for the organization for Flags of the Fallen? If you project this ahead a couple of years, what does it look like?
Absolutely. And you mentioned one thing before I answer that, if you don't mind. I spoke to a Gold Star mom, Susan Price, who lost her son. I'm actually working on his flag now, but I think it was 9 years ago. And forgive me if I don't have the dates right. And in our conversations with her, to your point about the pain, 10 minutes into the conversation, and we were transported back to that awful day for her. You can, people say time heals. It doesn't. It may, it changes things, but I could just hear the pain in her voice. And that's the hardest part of this. Every conversation I have with somebody, I'm talking to them about the worst day of their lives. And I tell everybody on our team, if when someone gets this flag, they may not be able to even say anything, because it takes them back to it. So the responses from the recipients are all over the board. The response from the people who could be donors or involved is just fantastic. But to the vision question, what our goal is in the next immediate in 2022 is, as my son likes to say, I'm going to move out of my father's basement. And we're
you would hope.
Yeah. He cracked me up when he said, "Are you ever going to move out of your dad's basement?" And I'm like, "Wait, I am the dad here." Okay. But I got his point. So yes, right now I'm doing it all in my workshop, and I think I'm probably driving my wife crazy. And I got saws going, and things, materials everywhere. But so this year we're going to actually move to a physical location where we're going to hire veterans to do the work. We've put a whole business plan together where we're going to start cranking out 60 of these flags every month, which is that's your BHAG that you mentioned earlier. It's going to take.
Where would this plant be located?
We're in suburban Atlanta. So we're probably looking in Marietta, East Cobb, Smyrna area, which is near where I live and where Zhao lives. So we're going to get a place there, and we're going to set up. Obviously, we need to get all the equipment, and that's no easy.
All you veterans out there, where if you've got some space that might work for this,
Yeah, and that would absolutely help, because we're, every dollar counts. Any dollar that I spend on rent, or I can't wait to spend it on payroll to have veterans come in and do it. That's an absolute pleasure and honor to do that. But just things like equipment, I'm reaching out to some of the manufacturers and see if they'll donate, or at least give discounted, and rent and things like that. Yeah, that was, that's kind of like, I hate to do that. That's why we're still doing it in the basement. But yeah, but again, it's money well spent when we do it. But I am looking around for places that there's a lot of corporate real estate sitting around empty right now in the world. So I think I can probably get a good deal. But if someone certainly has a line in on a location that we could use, that would be outstanding.
How do people find you?
So you can find us on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Our website is flagsofthefallen.com. If anyone wants to reach out to me, it's mike@flagsofthefallen.com. I love to talk to anybody, and take any ideas, suggestions. And people can donate as well by going to flagsofthefallen.com, the website. They can go there and help us out. They can go there and nominate someone to receive a flag. That's a biggie. So like I said, we're never going to run out of people, but we don't have a direct list right now of who we're doing it first. So what we're doing is we're allowing people to make targeted donations, so they can say, John Smith was a friend of mine that we lost. I would like to make a donation in his name, so that his flag that goes to his family gets moved to the front of the list. So that's, I don't want people to think they have to donate to do that, because we want to try and get flags to anybody we can that would mean something. We talk about, I'm trying to get people to go and do $22 a month. As we all know, the number 22 is just an awful number in veteran circles, and I don't even like talking about it. But we have a goal to make 22 a good number. So if people want to come and do 22 a month, so we don't lose 22 a day, they can do that. We have a goal. We want to take some of our flags to Pearl Harbor next year, because obviously we have to do it sooner than later, while we still have a few people that are that are still
World
alive
War II
from
veterans
World
are
War
fading
II.
fast. Yeah.
They are. I mean, I think I saw this year there was a very small number were able to be there, and it's obviously only going to get smaller going forward. But even if we don't make it next year or the year after that, we're going to go to Pearl Harbor and put some of our flags there somewhere. So we have really
A
big
lot
goals,
to
but
do here.
a lot to do. But in the first year, circle back to your question, we're going to get a place. We're going to hire some people, and we're going to grow very quickly. We hired a 501c nonprofit consultant, so we put together a whole long range goal of hiring all that kind of stuff to get a good amount. But I want people that don't feel they have to donate to nominate someone for a flag. I got sidetracked, but if they know somebody where this would mean something to them, they can just go to the website and say, I need to nominate, so-and-so,
Yeah.
and we'd be more than happy to do it.
So we'll put links to all of your social media and the webpage on the show notes for this event. We've run out of time, Mike. I told you it would go back quickly. We've been listening to the Spotlight on the Veteran Crowd Network. My guest has been Mike Morgan, CEO and founder of Flags of the Fallen. Mike, thanks for joining the program. Thanks for stepping into the spotlight. We're going to hopefully be pointing a lot of people your way.
Bob, I can't thank you enough for the time and all that you do and all that your amazing organization does. And I really hope that we hear from a lot of people and continue to do what little we can to help others that have suffered.
Well, there it is, folks. Get out there, go check out flagsofthefallen.com and take a look at this stuff today. It's really good work that Mike and his team are doing. You've been listening to the Spotlight on the Veteran Crowd Network. We have been bringing veterans and influencers to you every week. If you'd like to learn more, visit us at VeteranCrowdNetwork.com. I'm going to throw out an Army Bravo Zulu to you, Mike, for your performance today, and that's a wrap.
Thank you for listening to Spotlight by Veteran Crowd. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and uploads, please visit our website at VeteranCrowdNetwork.com. We'll see you next time.